So, guys, here we are again live, back online. I apologize. I realized that there was something going on while I was ranting about spirituality and so on and so forth. I realized that there was something with the connection, and I was not even connected to the chat anymore. So I couldn't see anybody of you. And I stayed for a little, and then I realized that basically there was a internet connection problem. So yeah, I apologize. Here we are back online again. Um, because all of a sudden, it's nice to see you guys, everyone. I was just explaining that I was online, and then I realized that there was something here in the chat that I wasn't seeing you, anyone. So I waited a little bit, and then I had to stop that streaming, and I had to get back online. I was having problem with my internet connection here, so here we are back again. Nice to see all of you coming back. I love you all. I don't remember where we were. We just give a second for other people to join. I'm doing the second part of 90,000 subscriber thank you live chat. We're just spending a little bit of time here on Sunday afternoon for me in Amsterdam. For you anywhere you are, spending a little bit of time with each other. And we were talking about things, and we ended up talking about spirituality and the universe and wellness, which are all things that I enjoy talking. Ciao, Maru. Ciao, nice to see you, Maru. This is the second part of the live chat. Sorry, a little bit of hair coming out of my mouth. Nice to see you again, guys. Anna, Mikael, gracias, Kike, Damien, Angela, Jackie, Leonardo, Nanyo, Mary. I love you. Rebelin, I love you all. Nice to see you. Tanya is back again. Nice to see you all back on the chat. Yes, Tanya, we were talking about, do I believe there is life? 100%. 100%. I actually recently read about also another planet that is a little bit bigger than planet Earth, and it seems like that could potentially, have all the right ingredients for life. Rebelin, hello, watching from Saudi Riyadh. Oh, I don't know where that is. Nice to see you, man. Nice to see you. Lourdes, you're waiting for new videos, like a new reaction, or the music that I mentioned. We were working on this other new song, and I haven't been able to post it yet, but it's gonna coming soon. It's coming soon. Miko, I mean, we are just here. Like I was saying before, I mean, like the distance. If you wanna see an image that blows your mind, go check on Google and type in deep space image Hubble telescope. I think towards the end of the 90s, NASA pointed the Hubble telescope in a patch of sky close to the moon, at least at the time, like a tiny patch of sky, like that. If you see it from here, of course, it looked like a quarter, right? And they pointed the Hubble telescope in that direction where they couldn't see absolutely nothing. And they left, of course, the shutter open for like 10 days or so, accumulating light. And then they developed their photography with all the data they had, and they came out with this deep space photography. They became absolutely iconic. And in this tiny patch of sky that from here seems not to, be anything there, just black, all of a sudden it showed hundreds of galaxies. Like for the first time, we saw like the density of so many galaxies, like who knows what distance one from another, into a little patch of sky that observer thought not to contain absolutely Nothing. That picture, when I see it, always blows my mind. Hundreds of galaxies stuck just there in a universe probably that contains trillions of galaxies and planets. And that thought alone, it's really impossible to believe that evolution and everything just happened here. It's just impossible. We don't have how to prove it, of course. Yeah, because we are here. But yeah, we're just here. And there is an incredibly amount of out there. There's way too much. There's way more out there than here. But we are like we are still like in the kindergarten, when it comes to knowledge. Still theories. There's so many things we all the time get changed, because we get new data. We find out about new things. There, there's so many things that we still don't understand. We don't know. I mean, the distance in this universe, we don't even know. We don't even understand this freaking thing, how large it is, how big it is. Like it's infinite. Like infinity, that's just, it's really hard to wrap your head around the concept of infinity in something that is infinite. There is an infinite possibility of chances, of an infinite number of things, and therefore, like, you just ponder, you just wonder. There is always hope for improvement. We're just kids, we're just learning. I mean, to me, there is no doubt. Personally, for me, there is no doubt that the universe is just a container of life everywhere, 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 everywhere. It's just that we are small. We're just learning now to make our first steps in understanding, being able to see through the spectrum of light and understand the chemical composition of other planets that we can get data from or light from. We're just making those tiny steps. We're just learning and keep learning and learning and learning. And the more we learn, like I said before, not long ago, people thought that finding exoplanet or planet orbiting a star was extremely rare. And now, we find exoplanets and planets all day long. Every freaking star has a solar system around, it seems, and already changed the perception of how stars, they behave, and what they have around. Yeah, a person is very small, but what is very important is the fact that we are created by this universe. We are created by this. We are the result of this. So I've always had that sense that whatever knowledge, whatever knowledge has to be acquired is already within us, because we are an expression of all of this. We are not just a bystander observer that doesn't belong into this. Like the human ability to be an observant sometimes make us believe that we are somehow not part of all of this. As if you're sort of detached and you're looking into the sphere. It's like, that's the sphere of physics and this and that, and I'm just a human. I don't belong to this. You are part of this. You're part of trillions of, whatever many years this took place, of chemicals and atoms and things forming and moving and communicating, expressing energy and doing whatever, and all of a sudden cells and water and frequencies keeps matter together into this, you know. And then you just wonder, like, you're just part of this. We just don't know, and we're slowly learning probably how to tap into more of this awareness and knowledge, and slowly will come. The fact that, like, also people believe that our evolution has stopped, you know, like it's finished. And evolution is slow, but we are evolving, and we also don't know where we're going to evolve, how quickly we're going to get to things. We don't know if things are linear, like if Homo sapiens sapiens, and also there's still a lot that I know of course I'm totally ignorant about that, but even in those things there's still so many mysteries that we don't understand. Every other day there is a new species that comes out from, like, hominid, orbit hominid, and some other things that before was believed not to be there. So we don't know how long it will take for, if Homo sapiens sapiens was like this from like 250,000 years ago to nowadays. We don't know, like, what we're going to become in, like, perhaps if things are going to speed up, or it's going to take another 250,000 years to have another major change in the way we are physically, mentally, whatever. So we also don't know those things. Exactly. Mika, we are evolving as we speak. Things are just keep going. They're not stopping. We're just going on. Ah, yes, we are not anymore like Yeah, you know that I got also some other videos of Soda Stereo blocked, and I had to cut more stuff out of them, and now they're back online. Yes, René Moncayo, transhumanism. Well, I don't know, like, transhumanism, if I'm not mistaken, it's well, first of all, it's also sort of a way of thinking, or like implementing technology with humanity, with human cells, which it's already happening. It's already happening with this. It's already happening with this. It's already happening. We're talking. We are, like, already like 25 of us here talking to each other from any place around the globe. So implementing, like, machinery and the knowledge of those machinery with our biology, it's not something very strange. It's just how, what we need those things for in the future. I think there are two ways we can both understand, also, for instance, like, how to ameliorate our own conditions, our own life, through understanding, I don't know, biology and chemistry, and probably we will be able to, not too far in the future, probably have very clear idea of our physiology, how it works, and therefore probably prolong our life in a more, like, biological way, without, the idea of putting, like, cyborg stuff into your body. We will just learn how cells, like we're already doing. People are working on this as we speak. you know if you follow this, because I love this stuff. If you follow this incredible guy called David Sinclair, and David Sinclair is a scientist and professor, and they're working on increasing lifespan of humanity, of humans, learning how cells they work, and the DNA and the mitochondria and all of those things. I don't think it's going to take too much in the future for people, and this is just, of course, a speculation, but I believe that we're learning so much about ourselves and biology and DNA and so on and so forth, that it's not absurd to believe that in the near future, men, they're going to go from, like, 80 years to 160 years or 200 years or even more, or aging will be reversed in the way that you're gonna still die, but you're gonna grow way older, and your body is not gonna age as quickly, and you're going to be perhaps in the near future a man of 120 but with the body of somebody of 50 or 60, which will be freaking unbelievable. You know what I mean? If imagine, like, imagine a man of 60 that is still like, okay, it's kind of old but still kind of young, and that's how you will feel when you are like 250. You know what I mean? This kind of stuff probably is possible, or even be younger. Probably in the near future people will be able to stop aging at 40, and then you keep living and keep growing, and then you probably reach a couple hundred years, 300, 400 years. Rene Monkai. I don't want to be a time lord, but I'm so curious. I'm so curious sometimes, and that's why I also try to deepen my spirituality, because um, like that's why I try to deepen my spirituality, because there is, the final mystery of our existence. It's that question whether or not our life is finite. If once our body is spent, this that I consider myself, this perception of me, this dude that I see behind my eyes, like I see myself and I find myself to live behind those two sort of sphere here or whatever, and I have my perception of me right here behind here, and once my body is dead, this consciousness, this awareness, this that I considered me will not be aware of itself anymore and disappear. That thought, it is both sad and freeing. Freeing because if you're dead, you're dead. You're not aware that you can be dead. But now that I'm alive, thinking of that gives me great grief, because somehow, either because of my physiology, that the body wants to stay alive, I want to keep being alive. But if this whole thing, just to say, if we had this certainty that life goes on, that there is life after death, that perhaps you will be reborn. This consciousness that represents you somehow, that you perceive as you, will manifest itself again, and you will feel yourself again being born again somewhere else. If we had that awareness, that certainty, every life will be so much different. It will not matter very much to live 50 years or 500 years, because you would have the knowledge. Unfortunately, we don't have the knowledge, and that's probably why people are so busy trying to understand more and more and prolong life, sort of buy literally time for ourselves to know. Mary, I'm so happy you find this talk valuable. I enjoy talking about this stuff. This stuff, like sifts through in stuff like my book. I put so many things like this. This whole book is all about this. It's about life somewhere else, the connection potentially through dreams with other people from other planets, our origin, and so on and so forth. I put all of those things in this book, at least my first attempt to write the science fiction novel. Yes, there can never be rest. That's why we need to transcend our mortality and our life, and we don't know. But I do have I have a little bit of hope. I have to say, I'm not hopeless. I'm not hopeless in that way. I'm not a skeptic. I'm not, like I said, I'm not an atheist in the way that I believe that once we are dead, and nothing exists anymore. Because it also, to me, it doesn't make sense in the way that nature is very smart. Nature is smarter than us. And if having a consciousness was an impediment, was a way of slowing us down somehow, of not being able to evolve, probably nature would have taken that away from us and not given us this curiosity, this desire of finding out about the truth, or even questioning those things. Probably nature would have not given us that possibility, because it's so much more efficient to be like more like an animal and live in the moment, not questioning the past or the future and the present. So I suspect the nature has more in as more for us, more for us. Rene Moncayo, don't give yourself labels. Don't give yourself label. Of course, this is, like this is just my personal thoughts. Anybody can do whatever they want. Don't give yourself label. You're not a pessimist. You're just living through a phase of this existence, You're just living through this phase. And we sometimes we are so narrow-minded that we look at our life just from the keyhole of our perspective, and it's so small. I mean, think of how lucky you are to have been born now, to be alive nowadays instead of 1943. Can you imagine if you were like 17 in 41 and then World War II stroke, and then you will be like called to go to war and perhaps die at 18 or 19 at the end of a grenade or whatever. So people went through that phase. We overcame that phase. Now we are here. We are in a time of heavy industrialization, in a time of heavy consumption, in a time of consumerism and pollution. We are in a time of great technological and scientific breakthrough. We are in a time of turmoil. But this is a phase, and this phase will not define the future of what's going to happen in 500 years, in the way that we will always move forward. We will always move forward, even if, I give you this example, even if for a time humanity will reset itself because we reach a peak where perhaps we messed up and we create like a gigantic bug, like this new coronavirus, and 6.5 billion people die, the whole economy collapse, and everything is destroyed as we know it today. All of a sudden there will still be perhaps like a couple of hundred millions which will start over, and in a couple of hundred years we will be somewhere else, and life keeps going on, and those people will be in another phase. Don't attach yourself to your ideals and to your labels, and also try to have a broader point of view that this is a phase. You are in this phase. You could have been in a better phase of human evolution, or also in a much worse one. You know what I mean? You could have been in a one where there was a Spanish Inquisition, where if they thought that perhaps you didn't believe 100% into Jesus, they would have come home and squeeze your balls and just chop your dick and throw it to the cats outside. You know what I mean? So, like, think of that for a moment when you attribute yourself the label of pessimist, and perhaps you will find some good in your life today, and also where society is moving from now on. Oh, you're from Chile. I know. Okay, there is a lot of demonstration. We let Mika and Renee talk to each other. If you guys are talking, if you guys want to know more about something else, please. Ciao, Shen. Good Sunday. If you have any other question, please keep them coming. Tanya Pereira, do you believe the aliens visited us? Could be. Could be very much possible. It could be very much possible. You also have to understand there is this journalist called Graham Hancock, which he wrote Fingerprints of the Gods. He's a proponent of the theory that perhaps we're also a civilization that has already reset itself at some point, where we lost some of the knowledge that we have acquired long ago, and then it was retrieved slowly somewhere like around 10,000 years ago or so, paving the foundation for the new society in which we live today. And in a way, I've always thought that they made a lot of sense, because when I learned that more or less Homo sapiens sapiens, and of course, guys, please, like I'm just a nerd about this stuff. I'm not a scientist. I just read about those things, and I love sharing those things. But you can call me out and correct me anytime. When I learned that Homo sapiens sapiens, more or less, it is in this form with this type of brain for more or less what, 400,000 years, 250,000 years. I always thought to myself, how is it possible that Homo sapiens sapiens exist with the same abilities that I have myself of observing, right? Of finding out, of pondering, with my similar ability physically and mentally. And it took more than 300,000 years. Like what it took, 442,000, 492,000 years, all of a sudden, to go from the caves of whatever to build like Sumeria or Babylon. And then we started just 8,000 years ago with language and cuneiform writing, or, like the Hindu, if we, probably the Hindu were there before that. What have we been doing for 400,000 years? Just sitting in caves, looking outside and running away from like megafauna animals or something? What were we doing? So I always question myself, like, really, does it really take that long that we like with this ability of mind or whatever, we couldn't find out about things faster, for instance? So like Graham Hancock said, probably we were at a certain point already evolved and we destroyed ourselves, and then we had to start over. I give you an example, man. If everybody died tomorrow, like let's say like only a couple of million people survived, right? And all the cities would be left alone. I mean, every car, every plastic, every brick, every metal, all of those things, I don't know exactly the number, but probably in time, like in 20,000 year time, in 50,000 year time, all of this will be reclaimed by nature. You will not find a car. You will not find like the body of a car, a tire of a car, a CD, a phone, because all of those things will be just reclaimed. And the only thing that will be left behind are gigantic monument made of stone that most likely will endure the test of time. And that's exactly what we have found in our history, like with all the pyramids around the globe, with all the mysterious other things like Göbekli Tepe in Turkey or Pumapunku in Peru or in Chile. I always misplace where Pumapunku is, in close by Lake Titicaca. So could happen again. Random mutation, they take time. Yeah. But how do we know? How do we know how much time? That's the question. We have just no idea. I guess we don't have an idea. Rene, I'm not forgetting anybody, but you probably misunderstanding, like Aborigines and Maasai, they're still Homo sapiens sapiens. We're just one race. So we all come from the same Homo sapiens sapiens. We're all Homo sapiens sapiens, apart probably from some level, some little percentage of Neanderthal that some people have in them, because it appears that um, at a certain point, probably there was a little bit of mixture between Neanderthali and Homo sapiens sapiens. So there is a part of the humanity which has a very small percentage also of Neanderthal DNA. Juan Morales. Natural selection, we are learning so much. We are learning so much. Like sometimes I think people tend to give too much credit to one scientist of the past, believing that everything that he has discovered then, that's it. There's nothing more to be added. And actually, it's quite the opposite. We keep learning more and more and more about evolution, about this planet every single year. So, natural selection, whatever. Like we know so little that it's still an open book. Ciao, Lucas. But anyway, all of the stuff is fascinating. I mean, it's truly fascinating. Um, you can, like we can you can just attribute everything to randomness and chaos, like whatever. And then you can also take the other route and believe that perhaps there is an uh, incredible design to all of this. And personally, I believe in the second. I tend more to believe in the second. There is just the fact that from the micro to the gigantic, the same type of form and shapes, and keep repeating. It's a testament to me to the fact that probably there is some strange geometry, some strange energy, whatever that is, that just goes in a certain way. And then you really wonder if it's just this universe that has this type of laws. And like somebody, like perhaps also speculates or like theorizes, scientists, of the possibility of also multiple universes where things can be worked differently. I was just reading, for instance, like an article about black holes, and that scientists basically, first of all, have very little knowledge about black holes, but they also speculate that probably inside black holes, like the law of physics, they don't apply anymore. So that statement also makes me wonder about what is possible. What is possible? I mean, knowledge is very important, science is very important, but one thing I see sometimes people hold on to is, like, they believe into a fact, scientific fact that we know of, and they forgot that we still don't know so much more, and they are not flexible in opening up to the possibility that perhaps on top of that fact, on top of the knowledge, there is much more to be known. Cloud Wolfemi. Yes, I love Contact. That's a great movie. Ciao, Alessandra. Have a wonderful dinner tonight with all your friends, and I'll see you soon. I mean, we have some knowledge about some understanding, I suppose, about black hole, but very limited. I really trust that there's so much more. There's so much more to know. There's just so much more to know. We're just scratching the surface. We're just literally scratching a little bit, like the tiny surface of everything that is possible out there. But like Itzi, I agree with you also. The thing is this, like, we are here speculating because we have to make sense of it, right? Yet the universe goes on, was here before us, and has created us. And then you like, if everything is always random, if everything is meaningless, if everything is just a chance, why it needs to exist in the first place? You can also ask yourself that question. Why would it need to exist? Why nothing is better than something then? Or something is better than nothing? You know? Why something has to be created from something? Like why the big band has to had to take place to start, why? Why all of this had to express itself? Could have been also nothing. It's those are always the strange question, like the egg of the chicken kind of thing. So it really makes you wonder, and it keeps your mind open. I have strange ideas. Perhaps this is just one of a multitude of universes. And the people probably keep being born because maybe I will be born again when I'm dead, because maybe not immediately, but then even if when I'm dead, it will take another 10 million years for the same circumstances to reappear somewhere else in another universe, for the same chemical to combine, and for the same life to evolve, and for the same kind of event to take place to create me again. Uh, my awareness will just feel as if no time had passed, perhaps, maybe like, I don't know, 3 trillion years had passed, and I will be born again, somewhere else on another planet. Who knows? I have no idea. We also don't know if the universe is going to finish. We people believe it's like 14 billion years old or 15 billion years old. We don't know if it's older than that, because frankly, the Big Bang, it's not a scientific fact that I know of, in the sense that, of course, it's a theory, and most likely, everything was born from something. But at the same time, I don't think we really have a certainty that everything happened their way. In my ignorance, I always ask myself the simplest question. Like when you talk about the universe, that it's been born by a single point, by a single dense whatever exploding and expanding and give birth to the universe, you always ask yourself, what was outside of nothing? You know what I mean? Like it's just, it seems like almost incomprehensible for our mind to wrap yourself around that concept of something that is born from nothing, from a like infinitesimal like point exploding to the universe. Ciao Leila, nice to see you. Yes, Marceleste, there is always also, I also believe, like we are capable of reaching within the universe, within the mind. And then in itself is also the universe out there, because there is not within, like inside here, there's just organs and cells and fluids and DNA and mitochondria and all of that. And it's just our ability of our consciousness to tap in what we perceive as within, but it's actually it's just actually out there. It's all of this. Well, amico, I actually have no idea about reincarnation. Those, of course, are speculations. I have no idea. um like I said, it would be lovely if we had more knowledge about life and death. For a time, I was very fascinated by um, near death experiences. I don't know if you're familiar with that. All the studies on people which they flatlined and they come back to life. And there is, like they always come up with the same stories, very similar stories. I was fascinated by it. There is also like some studies done by a British scientist called Rupert Skeldrake, which you probably might find interesting to listen to some of his talks. Rupert Skeldrake. He has some interesting talks about, yeah. Yeah, it's also very mysterious, because when people get Alzheimer, like when people have those type of diseases that wear out the brain, then part of them disappears, and slowly their identity disappears. They forget about themselves, and all of that, and then that type of thing also makes you ponder whether or not we are just brain, that our memories are just the result of all those electrical things connected with the neurons or whatever and synapses in our brain that makes us what we believe we are about ourselves, or is there more? And I always ask myself that question. um, But Mika, it could be also that, we remember things in other forms. You don't have necessarily to remember the practical events of, like, if you lived in Tibet and you were a monk and you were drinking like, I don't know, cow milk or whatever, or you were a pastor, or all those kind of things. I think it might to do also more with with the with the personal growth of of being able to re-experience life, and yeah, like the Buddhists say, to try to undo the mistake of the past, or whatever that means, to the point where you don't have to come back anymore. I don't know. I also find it very strange, in a way. Like, the thought of reincarnation also terrifies me, because you think, like, I got to do this all over again. You freaking crazy! I don't want to do this all over again. If there is a paradise or whatever, if there is like a place where the soul is bountiful and free and endless, let me be there. I don't need to come back. But then we don't know. Wow, this talk really got into very strange direction. I hope you're enjoying it. If you want me to go on, or you want to ask me other details, or more in specific, just let me know. I'll be really happy, truly, truly happy to talk about all of this with you guys. Tanya, well, I don't think, I'm not so much into this type of thing, spirits or whatever, because first of all, I think, like, why would spirits linger on around, in the world of the living? And it would be also unfair to them just to be like, some kind of spirits that resembles the form of what once they were, just whatever, somewhere. You know what I mean? I'm more inclined to believe that the soul goes on, wherever it goes, either reincarnates or goes somewhere else, or goes into this realm of the the place where we all come from. The same way, like, you don't remember when you were born, like, because the first memories you have probably is when you were like around 2 or 3 years old. So you don't remember being your womb, the womb of your mother. You don't remember where you were before that. And the same thing, probably when we die, we don't know, you know, we don't know where we're gonna be. Or I don't know. Now I'm getting a little lost, because those are big thoughts, man. I mean, I my mind is occupied with this stuff every other day. So sometimes you just bump into loops because the knowledge is just limited. And actually, the more you know, the more you're inclined also to form like ideals, and that can be both limiting and frustrating. Wow, Berenice Robles. Wow, thank you so much. Thank you so much. You're so kind. Congratulations. Thank you, Arriba Mexico. You're lovely. Thank you so much. We have been talking for the past hour or so about a little bit of everything, about the weather, about spirituality, about reincarnation, about the life out there, about the aliens, about the possibility of, like of being born again somewhere else, and all of those things, of religion and so on. It would be nice to do those talks a little bit more into the specific, one at a time, going a little bit more in depth, maybe with a guest. That would be probably the best, so that you can bounce off each other's knowledge, or have specialists on. Yeah, I have to enlarge my reach of connection, so that perhaps we could do podcasts with people of a certain knowledge and certain fields. That would be really lovely. Well, it's a cloud wall, fam. It's raining here very much as well. Sorry for the silence. I was reading the messages of you guys. Yes, I also believe that in the end, the life is about life and about DNA, that we keep passing on this DNA on and 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 on. Uh, and I also believe that in our DNA, probably all this junk DNA also that we carry, perhaps is also all the memories of, you know, of our ancestors, Could be, could be. Again, I'm really inclined to believe that, we don't know everything today. We're really slowly scratching the surface, and every year we find out a little bit more. So in 10, 20 years, 50 years, probably we will come to many more conclusions and awareness and facts that we know today about everything, about science, about about health, and about history, and on so on and so forth. Berenice Robles, I agree with you. I have exactly the same behavior. Sometimes, like during the day when you can intellectualize about life and death, you feel a little bit more calm. And then when you have those moments that when you go to sleep, that you're a little bit like in between awake and sleep, and you're losing consciousness. Sometimes that fear of losing consciousness and not being able